It's time for Kit Kat 1, 2, 3. Kit Kat 1, 2, 3. Kit Kat 1, 2, 3. Yay!
Welcome to the world of Pelswick Eggert.
Thanks for saving me a seat, but I brought my own.
With his best friends. The girl.
This is bigger than you and me, Pelswick. It's bigger than all of us.
And the bully.
Hey, Smellswick!
Pelswick, a new tune from Nickelodeon.
You'll fall out of your chair laughing.
Catch the world premiere this Tuesday at 8, 7 Central right here on Nick.
Hello, everybody! I'm back again with the first May installment of the Nickelodeon. Today, it's Pelswick time. Pelswick is the 15th Nicktoon I'll be reviewing for this series, although that title is contested by Nickelodeon scholars like myself. Before I get into that, I'll tell you the main production details. Pelswick was created by John Callahan, a quadriplegic cartoonist mostly known for his work in more adult-focused avenues like underground comics. This series is co-produced by both Nickelodeon and Nelvana, a Canadian animation company, and My Mortal Enemies. And it aired from October 5th, 2000 to November 15th, 2002, and was the first Nicktoon to air in the 2000s decade. We made it! It produced 26 episodes over 2 seasons, although one, the pilot, never aired in the US due to content concerns, cowards. Although Nickelodeon co-produced the series, they no longer have the rights to air it on any of their channels, which is why the Nicktoons label is disputed. However, I consider it one because Nickelodeon's name is in the credits, and Pelswick in the Not Just Cartoons Nicktoons song, so here we are today. Don't dispute me. Pelswick follows the titular character, Pelswick Eggert, a paralyzed 13-year-old boy who lives with his overly politically correct father, Quentin, perky sister, Kate, baby brother, Bobby, and wacky grandma, Graham. He hangs out with his group of friends, including lacking personality Ace Nakamura and lightheaded goon Gunderson. He lusts over sweet activist type Julie Smockford and is bullied by sadist Boyd Scolzaro, all the while being given advice by his guardian angel, Mr. Jimmy. Pelswick is an average kid, liking computer games, trading cards, and watching basketball from afar, all while life throws wacky nonsense at him that he must solve with the guidance of Mr. Jimmy. Pelswick is a pretty pleasant show to watch, especially after the train wreck that is Rocket Power. While both shows are very dated to the early 2000s, some of Pelswick's highlights include Julie being obsessed with Leonardo DiCaprio, Pelswick falling in love with a boy band styled after NSYNC, and the giant computer Pelswick and his family uses. But instead of being distracting, there's a certain charm to the datedness. There's a lot more teen-oriented humor in the show, which I enjoy, like Pelswick's family cat secretly wanting to kill them, or Pelswick's dad spouting off random politically correct terms which sounds like nonsense to kids, but were pretty funny to me. While Pelswick definitely has a couple of spots that haven't aged well. Pelswick imagining himself as a nice guy in the first episode that didn't air in the US, Goon's whole stupid character shtick, Pelswick's love interest in Shall We Dance basically being a proto-pick-me girl. The show mostly holds up to me, at least. Also, I guess I have to address the giant wheelchair in the room. Pelswick's representation of disability is generally one of the best ever examples in cartoon history. Most disabled characters in cartoons are not written or created by disabled people themselves. Example A and B, Rocket Power's radical new equipment and Wild Thornberry's new territory. Pelswick obviously was, and its very authentic representation of being paralyzed. One of the best examples would be the episode Shall We Dance, when Pelswick tries to pretend he's not disabled to be able to impress a girl he likes who loves dancing. He tries multiple ways to make it seem like he's not in a wheelchair, but eventually manages to drive her away because he refuses to admit the truth. Having a disabled person in the cartoon being an actual person, not just a figure of pity, was revolutionary at the time, even though Pelswick basically just faded into obscurity. Some other good episodes focused specifically on disability include the first episode, Inherit the Weald, where Pelswick is excluded from a field trip out of safety concerns and the school turns against him because they hate the field trip. Draw, where Pelswick draws a comic making fun of disability and the school riots until they find out it was him that drew it. And Hear No Evil, PC No Evil, where Pelswick's dad's new girlfriend treats him like a baby in the name of political correctness. By the way, mocking political correctness towards disability and most topics in general was a very big part of the humor in the show. While most anti-PC humor nowadays is just mostly being racist and sexist for the fun of it, It comes across way better in Pelswick because most of the more politically correct characters are still portrayed as good people. Pelswick's dad and Julie, in particular, just ignorant towards others' lived experiences. This might be a part of why Pelswick has never been very popular. Making fun of political correctness was not a very big part of comedy for most kids' shows at the time. I think fart jokes were on the way out, but surreal humor was the main bread and butter for most at the time. The art style of the series is also pretty unique. It was obviously drawn by a quadriplegic, so it's going to be interesting to look at. It has a squiggle vision vibe for most of the time, and I enjoy it. I also like how everybody's eyes are lopsided, but the style could definitely be hit or miss for other people not familiar with Callahan's style. Some of the characters aren't particularly funny or charming. Pelswick's grandma is a generic wacky grandma character that was seen better in Hey Arnold. We don't really get any depth from her because the show is so short. Pelswick's friends are very generic as well. Ace basically has no personality and no spotlight episodes to show any facet of himself, and Goon is just an average dumb best friend archetype that was popular at the time. Pelswick's bully, Boyd, is also just a generic bully who hates him, although he does have an interesting relationship with his grandma, at least. I wish that his grandma and Pelswick's grandma could have gotten an episode to themselves if the show was longer, but alas. Some things just aren't meant to be. Julie's best friend Sandra is also just an asshole to her most of the time, which kind of perpetuates the sexist trope that all girl best friends hate each other behind their backs, although they did give Sandra a great sense of style, so I'll give them that. I like Pelswick's dad and his sister the most, and Pelswick himself is a pretty interesting main character, but the world around him is just kind of lacking. However, my favorite character of them all would be their cat, who hates everybody and wants to take over the world. Very cute, and I understand his reasoning. Now I'll move on to talking about the best episodes of the series. Since Pelswick only got 2 seasons, I'll talk about 2 each from both seasons just to be fair. So let's start with Intalented. This episode has Pelswick falling in love with an NSYNC ripoff band called Intalented, and the fallout between him and the guys for liking something lame and girly, in quotes, obviously. While there are, of course, jokes made at Pelswick's expense for liking a stereotypically girly thing, it's a big time capsule to early 2000s trends at the time. The music in the episode is generally pretty good. Spring Broken. I mostly just like this one because it's a precursor to Total Drama, one of my favorite shows. It was written by Jennifer Perch, who co-created Total Drama and features Pelswick's family and friends being tormented by an overly politically correct summer camp. There are funnier episodes in the first season, but since I'm biased towards Total Drama, this one gets one of the best slots. A Rap in a Hard Place. Another musical episode, this time involving Pelswick and the gang's band pissing off all the adults in town for making a song with intelligible lyrics a la Louie Louie. I'm a sucker for a band episode, and this one is no exception, especially with all the historical context they're riffing on. And finally, Shall We Dance? I mentioned this one before, but I also like first date episodes and cartoons. This one was pretty cute until Pelswick ruined it all. Pretty sweet, pretty funny. It has a downer ending, so it has just about everything I like in a show. I'd say that this one is actually my favorite episode of the series because of its pretty good message. Now, what's the worst episode of the series? To me, it's the season 1 finale, Nursing Home Alone. This episode isn't particularly bad, just kind of boring, and stars one of my least favorite characters in the cast, Pelswick's grandma. She moves to a nursing home at the same time as her son's, Pelswick's dad's birthday, and leaves them all depressed. Pelswick's grandma just isn't a funny character to me because there's so many wacky grandma characters out there and done better, so I don't care about her. It's not really funny, it's kind of cruel to Pelswick's dad, and a poor finale to the first season. And now for the best writer of the series. Now, there's actually 2 best writers for this show. So the best writers for the series would be a pair, which are Andrew Nichols and Daryl Vickers. They were the head story editors for the series, wrote the most episodes together, and wrote the pilot Inherit the Wield, along with classics like Blink and You're at 182, Eggergeddon, and Wieldini. Overall, while Pelswick is not the best cartoon ever made, it deserves more recognition for being one of the best portrayals of disability done in the entire art form of animation. Let's be pretentious for a minute here, why not? Pelswick still airs from time to time in Canada, for some reason now airing on the Canadian version of Adult Swim, but has not aired on American television since the early 2000s, although all episodes are on YouTube and can be watched on Tubi in the US. The creator, John Callahan, died in 2010, and a biopic made about his life in 2016. Don't worry, he won't get far on foot, which Joaquin Phoenix starred as him. I'll always be a champion for Pelswick being a full-blown nicktoon, but even if you think it's not, Pelswick is still worth a watch, even if it's just to see an early 2000s time capsule to pop culture at the time. Alrighty, now for the next 2000 debuting a nicktoon in the series. It's As Told by Ginger up tomorrow. I'll see ya there, baby.